Just a minute. So, good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible? Just a minute. Fine. Sorry. Uh, so yesterday, uh, fine. So yesterday, we have had a discussion on some questions asked by UPSC uh, from the topic Indus Valley Civilization. So we have had a discussion on the questions asked by UPSC in last couple of years from the topic Indus Valley Civilization. So, in fact, we have in the last class we have taken a look at some 8 questions. Now let us continue with our discussion on the same topic. But the point is, the questions which I will be discussing were not directly asked. They were not asked in the civil services exam conducted by UPSC. The questions which I will be discussing today happen to be the one which were asked by UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, in some other exams such as CDS, NDA, at a point, CAPF, etc. So since these also were the exams conducted by UPSC, these questions also become very important to us at a point. So in the last class, that is in the yesterday's class, I discussed the previous year questions from the topic Indus Valley Civilization asked by UPSC in the civil services examination. But today, let us discuss the questions asked in some other exams like a CDS, CAPF, NTA, etc., which are also the exams conducted by UPSC. At a point. So take a look at the 9th question. Yesterday we had discussed 8 questions. Now take a look at the 9th question. Indus Valley Civilization is known for. What is Indus Valley Civilization known for? 4 options have been given. Take a look at the 4 options. For its town planning, undoubtedly Indus Valley Civilization is yes, you go ahead. Pandey, Priyanka, you can answer this question. To answer this question, later I will explain the same. So Priyanka says, all right. Yeah, true. So the point is, Indus Valley is known for its remarkable town planning. In fact, of all the civilizations of the 3rd millennium BC, undoubtedly, Indus Valley civilization is known for its remarkable town planning. Then option 2, Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, undoubtedly, these are the 2 very important cities of Indus Valley civilization. Third, for their agricultural work, this is also true. This is because urbanization can take place only when there is a agricultural surplus. So there is a link between urbanization and agricultural surplus. Any society, if it wants to become urban, it should first have agricultural surplus. The agricultural surplus frees up a section of the society to take up other professions. And these the people who practice other professions such as say manufacturing, who take up other professions in the manufacturing sector, begins to settle down in the urban areas. So as a result, urbanization takes place. So the whole point which I'm trying to convey is the first precondition for urbanization to take place is surplus agriculture. So Indus Valley Civilization is definitely known for producing surplus agriculture, which freed a section of the people to take up other professions, mostly in the manufacturing sector. And those manufacturing industry mostly uh, grew in the urban areas. So the fourth is industrialization. Of course, Indus Valley people produced a large variety of goods which were also exported to other parts of the world. So the answer for this question, as you have rightly pointed out, D is the right answer. That is, all the above are the right statements. Take a look at this question. Take a look at the 10th question. Which one among the following is not a characteristic feature of the Harappan settlement? The four options have been given here. The question is about not the characteristic feature of the Harappan settlement. Anyone? Anyone? What is the answer for this question? A. Any other answer? Anyone? Pandey says that for the 10th question, A is the option. A is the answer. C is the answer. Any other? Let me explain. So it says which one among the following is not a characteristic feature of the Harappan settlement? Take a look at the first option. Doors and windows generally faced sidelines or side lanes and rarely opened into the main street. So this statement is absolutely correct. This is a correct statement. So the question is about not the characteristic feature. Statement A is absolutely correct. It is a characteristic feature of the Harappan settlements. So for example, say most of the cities of the Harappan civilization are in the houses of most of the cities of Harappan civilization. The doors and windows, they generally faced the sideways and they rarely opened into the main street. That is true. For example, say in the city of Lothal, which is a Harappan site, in this city only the doors and windows were facing the main road. Say for example, this is the main road and this is a house. So in the city of Lothal, uh, the the doors and windows of the houses were opening into the main road. This is exclusive to Lothal, but all other cities of Harappan civilization had houses whose doors and windows did not face the roadside, they were facing the sideways. So, for example, say this is the house, the doors and windows of other cities of Harappan civilization faced the sideways. So, basically, statement A is the correct one, is the correct characteristic feature of the Harappan cities. Take a look at the second option. Houses generally had separate bathing areas and the toilets. It's true. The Harappans is known for giving a lot of importance to cleanliness and sanitation. So in the excavations, it was discovered that all the houses of Harappan civilization had separate bathing areas and the toilets. It's true. And more importantly, the Harappans also had their drains covered. They had constructed under the ground drains. These drains were covered with stone slabs. So second is also the correct statement. It is a characteristic feature of the Harappan cities. Take a look at the third option. The citadel was walled, but lower town was not walled. So what is this walled? So for example, each city of Harappan civilization broadly can be divided into two halves. This is the western half. WH is western half. This is eastern half of the city. The western half of the city was constructed at an elevation And moreover, the western half of the city was surrounded by a huge fortification wall. So the point is, the Harappan cities can broadly be divided into the plan of the Harappan city can broadly be divided into two parts, the western half and the eastern half. The western half of the city was usually constructed at an elevation, at a height, and it was also surrounded by a huge fortification wall. So the area which is constructed at a height and is surrounded by a fortification wall is referred to as a citadel. So take a look at the third option. The citadel was walled, but the lower town was not walled. Walled means they are basically saying there is no fortification. So in fact, this this is also true with respect to most of the cities of the Harappan civilization. It is true. So C is also not the option. The only remaining option for us is D. So the answer for this question is D. 10th question, take a look at it. Which one of the following is not a characteristic feature of the Harappan settlements? Drains and water chutes. These are chutes means nothing but pipes. The drains and water chutes from the second stories were often built inside the walls. So the Harappans have also constructed two-storied buildings. And the fourth option says the drains and water chutes from the second story were often built inside the walls, which is not the case. They were not built inside the walls. They were basically, uh, no, at the point. So they were attached outside the houses, outside the walls of the house. So the point is, the fourth option is the right option. Is this question clear to everyone? Yes, Priyanka. Is this question clear to everyone? So 10th question, the option is D. Take a look at the 11th question. Consider the following statements about the Harappan cities. Two statements have been given. Take a look at statement 1. Roads were not always absolutely straight and did not always cross on another at right angles. Roads were not always absolutely straight and did not always cross on another at right angles. Second statement. The striking feature is the uniformity in the average size of the bricks for the houses and for the city walls. What is the answer? A. Any other? Only two, only one. A. So the question is, which of the above statements are correct? The point is, the first statement is slightly misleading here. But take a look at this statement once again. Roads were not always absolutely straight. It is true. Mostly, the roads of the Harappan cities were mostly straight. Mostly. So there is a difference between mostly and absolutely straight. Mostly, the roads of the Harappan cities were mostly straight and did not always cross on another at right angles. They almost always, they mostly crossed on right angles. That's the point. But the statement, the point is, take a look at this explanation. The point is, if you look at the town planning of the Harappan cities, the town planning was carried out in a grid manner. This is what I call as grid manner. So when you look at the city from the top, the city basically appears like a chessboard. It appears like a chessboard. So basically, mostly the chessboard pattern is possible when the roads that are laid runs almost straight. That is, from the north to south, the road is straight. From east to west is also road is straight. Only when the roads that are laid are quite straight, chessboard like pattern is possible. This is true. I am not denying it. But this is this is not always the case. In some cases, some cities did not had a properly developed grid pattern. Let me explain this point once again to you. So the point is, mostly the cities had uh, straight roads which were running from north to south and east to west, as a result of which the entire city was divided into large rectangular blocks at a point. So these roads exactly intersected at 90 degrees, creating a right angles. But was not always the case. There are some exceptions to this rule. Say, for example, take the case of Banavali. Banavali is a Harappan city located in Haryana. So, in Banavali, the city of Banavali did not have a grid pattern at all. So, the whole point is, mostly the cities of Harappan civilization had roads which ran absolutely straight from north to south and east to west, creating grid-like pattern, and these roads intersected mostly at 90 degrees. But there are some exceptions to this rule, the exception being Banavali, because in Banavali there was no grid pattern at all. So therefore, this statement holds absolutely correct. The question is, which of the above statements are correct? Statement A, statement 1 is a correct one. Roads were not always absolutely straight and did not always cross another at right angles. This statement is a correct statement. Fine. Take a look at the second statement. The striking feature is the uniformity in the average size of the bricks for houses and for the city walls. This is another very distinguishing feature of the Harappan cities. So, in the excavations that were carried out, the bricks that were discovered had a striking uniformity. So the bricks, the size of the bricks was standardized. Bricks were made in this particular ratio, 1 is to 2 is to 4. What all bricks that have been discovered from Harappan cities, they were made in this particular ratio, 1 is to 2 is to 4. This ratio was definitely maintained for manufacturing of the bricks. So if that be the case, both the statements are correct. Statement A is absolutely correct. Statement 2 is also absolutely correct. At the point. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer for this question is both 1 and 2 are correct. Fine. Is this question clear to everyone? Take a look at the next question. Various causes have been suggested for the decline of the Harappan culture. Consider the causes mentioned below and identify the weakest of them. Four options have been given here. This question is relating to the decline of the Harappan civilization. What is the right answer for this question? Anyone? What is the option? What is the right answer for this question? So basically, this question is on the causes for the decline. Four causes have been described here, but the question is on the question is asking us to identify the weakest of the four reasons. Anyone? Pandey, Priyanka, Paramjeet. Paramjeet says B. Identify the weakest of the four. A. How about Mr. Pandey? Priyanka, A is not the right answer. See, the point is, various theories have been suggested relating to the decline of the Harappan cities. One theory that was suggested is the occurrence of floods. The occurrence of floods. This theory has been suggested, and some scholars believe that this was perhaps one of the reasons for the decline of the Harappan cities. Second reason, second theory suggested was increased salinity of the soil and decreased fertility. As a result of the increased salinity of the soil is also held to be another reason for the decline of the Harappan civilization. So let's take a look at all the four options here. Option A says due to constant incidents of naturally occurring floods. So basically flooding of the Harappan cities is held responsible for the decline. So this is true to some extent. Take a look at the second one. Due to increase in salinity of the soil, fertility decreased there. It is also true. Some scholars believe that with increased salinity of the soil, fertility decreased, and therefore people unable to produce a surplus there. That is, uh, agricultural production fell. As a result, the Harappan cities began to decline. This is also a correct observation to some extent. Third, earthquakes caused changes in the course of Indus, which led to inundation. So basically, some theories held the frequent earthquakes in the Indus region to be responsible for the decline of the Harappan city. This is also a correct cause to some extent. But take a look at the fourth one. The Aryans invaded and destroyed the Harappan culture. This, of the four, the point is, I'm not saying that option A, option B, and option C are correct explanations. They are partly correct. They are just partly correct. But take a look at the fourth option. The Aryans invaded and destroyed the Harappan culture. This is not at all accepted by the present scholars. The reason being, the Harappan civilization ended by about 1900 BC itself. Harappan civilization ended by about 1900 BC itself. Then, most of the scholars now believe that Aryans started migrating to India by about 1500 BC. So, most scholars believe that Aryan migration began from 1500 BC. Most scholars also believe that Indus Valley declined by about 1900 BC itself. So clearly, there is a time gap of about 400 years between the decline of Indus Valley civilization and the arrival of Aryans into the Indian subcontinent. That be the case, how can Aryans be held responsible for destroying the Harappan culture? The question. I hope I am clear. If there is a time gap of about 400 years before between the decline of Indus and the arrival of Aryans into the Indian subcontinent, how can Aryans be held responsible for the decline of the Harappan civilization? Not at all. So basically, I'm not saying the first A, B, C, the three options given above are right options. But the question is asking us to identify the weakest of the four. In fact, option A, B, and C are also not accepted by majority of the scholars. But of the four, the weakest undoubtedly happened to be option D. That's the point. So D is the right option. Take a look at 13th question. Which one of the following is not true of bead making as a salient feature of the mature Harappan crafts? Take a look at this question once again. Which of the following is not true of bead making as a salient feature of mature Harappan crafts? What's the answer? What's the answer? Which one of the following is not true of bead making as a salient feature of the mature Harappan crafts? Anyone? Priyanka, Pandey, Paramjeet? No one? Give it a try. Even if you go wrong, that's all right. Give it a try. Which one of the following is not true of bead making as a salient feature of the mature Harappan crafts? So, bead making industry was a thriving industry during the Harappan times. Bead making, you all know about beads which are used in the making of jewelry. At a point. So basically, bead making was a very uh, bead making industry was a flourishing industry during the Harappan times, and beads were made with the different types of materials. So, for example, beads were made of gold, they were made of copper, shell, lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli is basically a blue colored stone, a semi precious stone. Lapis lazuli is a blue colored semi precious stone. Beads were also made of ivory, and beads were also made up of various semi precious stones. It is true. Question is asking us to identify the statement which is not true of bead making as the salient feature of the mature Harappan crafts. Option A is the right one because Harappan beads were made up of different types of materials like gold, copper, shell, lapis lazuli, ivory, and a variety of semi-precious stones. It is true. Take a look at the second. Archaeologists have identified bead makers' shops on the basis of assemblages of unfinished objects. It is true. So, for example, in the city of Indus by name Chanhu-Daro, so Chanhu-Daro, the city of Indus Valley Civilization. So in Chanhu-Daro, bead makers' shops have been discovered, and scholars have discovered them on the basis of assemblages of unfinished objects. The raw material for manufacturing of beads were discovered in large numbers. So on that basis, scholars have argued that possibly those were basically the beads makers' shops. I hope I am clear. So archaeologists have indeed identified bead makers' shops on the basis of large number of unfinished objects discovered in a few buildings. And scholars have identified those buildings as basically bead makers' shops. So option B is also a right option. Take a look at option C. At Chanhudaro, tools, furnaces, and beads in various stages of preparation have been found. Basically, the second statement and third statement were taken from the same city, that is Chanhudaro. The second statement is basically the description of Chanhudaro. The third statement is basically the description of the same city, that is Chanhudaro. Chanhudaro, basically tools, furnaces, and beads in various stages of preparation have been discovered. It is also true. I might have discussed this point. Chanhudaro is a known city. It is well known for bead manufacturing. Chanhudaro is a well known Indus city for bead manufacturing. So option C is also the right option. So the only left option for us is D, which is not true. Take a look at the fourth option. The structures at Banavli yielded many beads in finished, semi-finished, and unfinished states, which is not true at all. From Banavali, no such things have been discovered at a point. Mostly we get various beads from other cities of Harappan civilization, not from Banavali. This is not true at all. C is the right option because in Chanhudaro, beads in various stages of preparation have indeed been discovered. B is also right one, A is also right one because beads were made in different types of, they were made with different types of material. So option D is the right option for our, basically which is not true. A, B, C are true, D is not true. So this becomes our answer. Fine. Take a look at the 14th question. The cylindrical stone seals were used in which civilization? Anyone? We will be ending now. 15 questions. This is our last slide, Priyanka. We'll have about 35-40 minutes of a class at a point. So we will be ending this session shortly. How about the 14th questions? What's the answer? The cylindrical stone seals were used in which civilization? A. Pritam Sahu says A. Any other answer? Any better answer? A. So basically, let us understand a few details relating to seals. Seals are basically coin-like objects. Seals are basically coin-like objects. Seals were basically made with a type of soft stone called steatite. TIT. I told you, seals are basically coin-like objects. So seals were made mostly with the help of a soft stone called steatite. And third, seals in different shapes have been discovered. For example, the most common type of seals discovered from Harappan sites is square seals of 2 by 2 square, 2 by 2 inch size. 2 inch by 2 inch was the standard sizes of the seals discovered from the Harappan site. Let me repeat. Seals in different shapes have been discovered, but mostly the seals that were discovered were square in shape. But sometimes even rectangular seals were discovered. At times, circular seals were also discovered. So the Harappans have used seals in three different shapes. One is a square, which were most common type of seals. Second is rectangular seals. Third is the circular seals. This is the third, circular seals. But how about cylindrical seals? So most scholars now believe that the Harappans did not use cylindrical in shaped seals at all. But a few cylindrical seals have been discovered from Mesopotamia. Sorry, a few cylindrical seals have been discovered from Mohenjo-Daro. Mohenjo-Daro, which is basically an important city of Indus Valley Civilization, has yielded cylindrical in shaped seals. And many scholars believe that these cylindrical in shaped seals discovered from Mohenjo-Daro were originally belonged to that of Mesopotamia. So basically, Indus had trade relations with Mesopotamia, and therefore, Mesopotamian seals somehow made their way into the Indus civilization. And therefore, the point is at Mohenjo-Daro, a cylindrical in shaped seals have a few cylindrical in shaped seals have been discovered from Mohenjo-Daro. But the point is, they were not used in Indus. They were basically used in Mesopotamia, and those Mesopotamian cylindrical seals have been discovered from Mohenjo-Daro. It indicates to the existence of trade contacts between both of these civilizations. That's the point. I hope I am clear. So the right answer for the 14th question is Mesopotamia. Harappa, I told you, Harappans, they used square shaped seals, rectangular in shaped seals, and circular but not cylindrical. Mesopotamians, we clearly know that Mesopotamians indeed used cylindrical in shaped seals, and they have been discovered from Mohenjo-Daro. A few of them. Take a look at the 15th question. Indus civilization existed in, four options have been given: prehistoric, protohistoric, historic, and post-historic. What's the answer? What's the answer for the 15th question? What is the answer for the 15th question? Indus civilization existed in, four options have been given: prehistoric, protohistoric, historic, and post-historic age. You are right, Paramjit. It is a proto-historic. So what is prehistoric? Prehistoric refers to a phase of our past when there was no script. No script. Proto-historic, on the other hand, refers to another phase of our past during which script was used but is not deciphered, is yet to be deciphered. So the Indus people used script. We call it as a pictographic script, but the script of the Harappans is yet to be deciphered by the scholars. So that phase of past during which script was used, but if such a script is yet to be deciphered, we call that age as a proto-historic age. And to refer to that phase of our past during which script was not used at all, we call that phase as prehistoric age. And to refer to that phase of our past during which script was used and the script has also been deciphered, we call that phase as historic age. So on the basis of the availability of a script and its decipherment, we have three uh, terms in use. One is a prehistoric, second is a protohistoric, and third is historic age. So basically, Indus civilization falls in the prehistoric age. The answer for this question is option B. I hope you all have understood this particular point. You're right, Pallavi. B is the right option. So that's all for today. I hope this session is of at least some help to you. We will end our session today. We will meet in the next class and take up discussion on some other topic. We'll continue with this this series of discussing the previous year questions. Next week, I will take up questions on some other topics. Maybe we will take up questions from the Vedic period. Fine. So I will take up questions next week on the Vedic age. So last class, we had discussed some 8 questions. Now I have discussed some 7 questions. All of these were asked by UPSC in different examinations. That's the point. That's all. That's all for today. See you in the next class. Thank you.